Hello everyone, this is Aegon of Astora, and welcome back to my casual playthrough of Dark Souls. This is episode 13, and we are recording once again. It's been a few days since I've recorded, because after I got a blue screen of death, my computer crashed at while I was nearing the end of my previous recording session. So that led me to take a couple days from recording, and the videos I've been releasing on my channel since then are all using footage that's kind of old, and just so that, I didn't find myself in a situation where I've recorded an entire episode and my computer crashes and I lose all the footage. So what I did was, spent half a day just basically troubleshooting and trying to figure out what could have been wrong with my computer, and I haven't had a crash since then. So here's to hoping that whatever it was that was wrong with it, I was able to fix. But with all that said, there are a couple things that I wanted to talk about with respect to this guy, and I believe that when I talked about those things in the previous episode, it was after my the computer crashed after I had spoken with him, but there was some footage lost in between the time that my computer crashed and when the recording actually stopped. So if I'm repeating myself with any of this stuff, I apologize for that, but I figured it was important enough that I wanted to make sure that I got some of this from him.
You. Still alive? That's a surprise. Anything you want? What's mine is yours, but at a price. Where do I get all my things? I'm stripped off the corpses of fools like yourself. It isn't easy. I have to catch them just before they go hollow. Don't worry, I'll be there to claim your trinkets, gazing at your final twisted grimace. Where do I get all my things? It isn't. I don't want.
So, very interesting. So, all of the stuff that he has, they're all things that he got off of corpses. And I'm not sure about the greatsword and the tower shield, but I do believe, and the first two armor sets he has, the steel set and the Katarina set, I believe that these are all items that he can in fact get in the game before Sen's Fortress. And maybe except for the rings. Okay, so maybe not all of them, but still. But the implication is basically that these armor sets belonged to undead who at one point or another tried to pass through Sen's Fortress. So we have the Katarina helm, which I believe we read the description for in the previous episode, but again, I can't recall if it was cut off or not. Distinctively shaped helm worn by the Knights of Katarina. Outside Katarina, it is often ridiculed for its onion-like shape, infuriating the proud knights, but the masterfully forged curved design makes it very effective for parrying. So, and and it's worthy of note that he does sell infinites of all of these armor sets, so you can buy as many as you want. Perhaps, if he was just selling one, then maybe you could say that there was one Knight of Katarina who was here, went hollow, and he went and stripped their corpse of all of the items. But the fact that he sells infinite numbers of each would seem to imply not that an infinite number of soldiers from these different nations came here and hollowed and he stole all of their armor inside of his, I guess, bottomless bag, not even a bottomless box, but rather that, some substantial number of them came to Sen's Fortress and didn't make it out alive. Steel armor. Armor of the Knights of Bereniki, known for their heavy armaments and armor. Countless Knights of Bereniki, once extolled as the mightiest of the mighty, became undead and ventured to Lordran. but their journey was for naught as they went hollow and became a threat to all undead. And this would appear to be... I do want to pick this up. It's 23,000. Yeah, why not? Sure. Because it certainly looks like the armor that he's wearing, but it does also look like the armor that the large Brenniki knights are wearing. And the Balder set. Helm worn by the knights of the ancient kingdom of Balder. It is made from thick iron plates. Balder was the homeland of the Knight King Rendel, but it came to ruin after a great many undead were spawned. So clearly, Knight King Rendel, who we learned in the previous episode, came here to Sen's Fortress, and despite having once, I believe it said, stood down a giant drake, couldn't make it through Sen's Fortress. So, yeah. So, nothing really interesting there. Greatsword. One of the gigantic straight greatswords. Very few have what it takes to wield this incredibly heavy, damage-dealing monster. A favorite of the Knights Brenniki, known for their heavy armor and black iron Tarkus. And Baldur's Shield, shield of the Knights of the ancient kingdom of Balder. Tweaked for improved stability, Balder was the home of Knight King Rendel, but the kingdom was reduced to ruins after a widespread outbreak of undead. Metal great shield used by Knight Brenniki, known for his heavy armor. Heavy armor, so I don't know if that's just... Yeah, because here it says known for their heavy armor, so suggesting... But this one, it's singular, Knight Brenniki, whereas this one says Knights Brenniki. Interesting. I don't know if that's just a typo or an inconsistency, or if there is actually a single Brenniki knight, after which all of the others are modeled. I guess perhaps similar to Havel, and how Havel's men apparently wore his armor as well.
There you go, another brave soul. But soon you shall see. You and I are no different. Yes, you soon shall see the putrid fates we both share.
So yeah, again, it does look, in fact, as though that's the same armor that the massive Brenniki knights are wearing. Except that the version... Let's go outside where there's more light. Except that this version... The things on the shoulder plates that I thought were scratches look actually to be like an embroidery of some sort. But this one doesn't have a giant scratch across the chest plate, as it does for the large Brenniki knight. So interesting. So it is Friday, August 21st today, and we're actually going to drop down here. So, date of recording, Friday, August 21st. I hope that you're all having a fantastic day today. I'm not having the greatest of days. If you've ever been through, not just any breakup, but a breakup with someone with whom you thought you were going to spend the rest of your life, it can take a little while to get over. There are good days and bad days. Today is not a particularly good day. But that's why we're recording, because we're going to forget about it and just have some fun playing some Dark Souls. We just picked up the sniper crossbow. With all that said, I hope that all of you are having a better day than me. I know I've already said that, but... Large crossbow with long distance, used by Kareem snipers, often used with sniper bolts. But while crossbows are normally easy to use, the sniper crossbow requires dexterity. Only requiring 16. Not gonna bother with that at all, simply because even though it is a sniper crossbow, you do still have to lock on. You can't auto aim with it, or you can't, manually aim, I should say. So it's really not worth it bothering with that weapon, at least in my opinion, or at least in the context of this playthrough. But yeah. last time I did want to complete this area, and we weren't able to for a number of reasons. The most notable of which is simply that I guess you could say I was trying to rush through it, so it's probably a better thing that we weren't able to. So then that way we can ensure that we don't give this area short shrift. Last time I struggled mightily against this guy here. That guy was wielding a rapier, but still I was hoping for a Poltergeist sword, even though I don't believe one actually drops from them. No idea what this is supposed to be for, or whether there's supposed to, in fact, be any sort of purpose for this spot, or whether there was something here that was cut. Maybe this is where the Crestfallen Merchant was originally supposed to be. I have no idea. What is that down there? Have we been there / can we go there? I'm not so sure that we can. Either way, we're going to proceed through the area because the main attraction today is not, in fact, Sans Fortress, but Anor Londo. So that's where we're headed. And again, I am going to want to try and do as much of it as possible, but I'm going to try to be mindful of I'm going to try not to rush, basically. But my tendency is towards rushing just because I love this game so much. And I love certain areas, and I want to experience it all at once and really fast. But then, of course, in doing so, you kind of can easily rob yourself of the experience of, enjoying the area in its entirety. So I'm going to try and balance those two things a little bit better for the remainder of this playthrough. Although I guess we have been moving along rather slowly. This is episode 13 after all, and we're not even in Anor Londo yet, so there's that. I'm sure maybe not each and every one of you, but I'm sure a number of you know what we have planned. You may have noticed that I haven't really summoned anyone as of yet. Have I summoned anyone for any boss fights? Oh yes, just, what's her face? Witch Beatrice. And so this is just going to be the second time we summon someone, but we're going to let Iron Tarkus take on the Iron Golem by himself. No, Tarkus! No! Alright, let's try that again. And this time I'm not going to stand so close to the fog gate because I think Tarkus would have had him, you know, had I not been standing so close to the fog gate. Because that led him, he kept wanting to run back to me and his AI would get confused. Oh, I gotta run back to my summon, but I gotta kill the boss and I don't know what to do. I'm so excited. I love getting summoned. So let's try that again. I totally meant to do that. He did it. He just needed me to be in an appropriate spot. So I apologize for that, Tarkus, for screwing up the first attempt. That's pretty awesome. So, let's get our HUD back on here. Have a look at a couple things. So you can see here, there's the Duke's Archives, and can't exactly look up. But you can see that the I guess city of Anor Londo is built atop what looks almost like a mountain, and that there appears to have been at one time or another an elevator or something through this archway, and judging by the bricks and whatnot that are there, it would seem that it's been closed up for one reason or another. perhaps around the time of the onset of the undead curse. I don't know whether that is there intentionally as a gameplay or as a storytelling piece of scenery, or whether in fact there was at one point a plan that maybe it's cut content, that maybe there was in fact an elevator that would lead you up to Anor Londo. That I'm not sure about. But either way, it's very interesting that rather than taking an elevator, you touch this strange looking ring of light here, which looks like the resonance, I can't remember what they're called, miracle resonance spheres or circles. Except this one appears to be moving up and down. I've never noticed that before. Almost as though it's levitating. And it's also gold, unlike the miracle resonance things, which are white. But other than that, it looks almost the same. And I don't believe the miracle resonance things float up and down like that. So in other words, they're seemingly trying to, suggest to you, hey, this is different than the other things you've seen that look like this. We've made it to Anor Londo. And it says talk, but obviously you can't talk with this thing. Lightning Gargoyle? I don't recall exactly what their names are. But pretty unsettling, pretty creepy. And given how kind of rough they were with us, it would seem that they're not pleased perhaps about having to shepherd humans back and forth between Sense Fortress and Anor Londo, but for one reason or another, they're doing their part in facilitating the trials of the undead, of the chosen undead, so as to allow the gods to find someone to replace Lord Gwyn, someone whose soul is strong enough to rekindle the fire for a period of time that isn't a negligible waste. And given the fact that we made it through Anor Londo, or through Sense Fortress, unlike the Night King Rendell and the Knight Bereniki, that we're not doing too bad. The giant sentinels that are guarding the various parts of Anor Londo. You can aggro them one at a time if you're careful. I was not careful there, but I was lucky enough to have only aggroed one of them, in spite of my carelessness. It's interesting that they don't actually leave corpses behind. And you might attribute that to their size and how, maybe it would slow down the game or something, but recall that when we were in Darkroot Forest, or Darkroot Basin, rather, you actually do see the Stone Knights. They actually ragdoll. Their bodies remain there after you kill them. Not so with these guys, suggesting perhaps that they are constructs of some sort. So perhaps not dissimilar to the golems from Dark Souls 2. That's not really something I've thought about, but it's interesting. We see here is statue of Ornstein. Perhaps not the most flattering statue, but it's interesting that the statue itself seems to be made of one material, and the weapon actually almost seems like a genuine replica. This is a normal chest. You can see by the fact that the chain curves away from the front. And also that, and I don't believe this is something... Oh no, never mind. I was going to say, and also because the... Well, I guess we'll see when we check out the Mimic on the other side. I was about to say also because this one doesn't have a lock on it. It does have a latch. There's a latch right there. So we'll see if on the other side the other one has a lock on it as well as a latch. But this is just a beautiful, beautiful place. Like, look at that. For the Xbox 360, not bad at all. Not too shabby. But we have a little bit of dialogue here. From one of my favorite NPCs, the Dark Moon Nidus. We are going to kindle this bonfire up and get us 20 flasks. And I believe I mentioned this in one of the early episodes, but any bonfire that has a Firekeeper next to it that is, you know, tended to by a Firekeeper starts at 10. So you only have to actually kindle it twice to get your SS flasks up to 20.
Well, you are a rare visitor. Welcome to the lost city of Anor Londo, chosen undead. If you seek Lord Gwyn's old keep, exit here and head straight yonder. If you are the chosen one, a revelation shall visit thee. What follows thereafter depends upon you.
If we are a chosen one, or if we are the chosen one, a revelation will visit thee. Interesting. We should keep that in mind going forward.
What is it? What am I? Well, I am the keeper of the bonfire. If not for me, what beacon would there be in this lost city? A gatekeeper and a guide. That is my calling. The bonfires attended by the keepers are special. They are linked to one another, and their flames never die. Yet never shall the keepers of these flames meet. If you require rest, now is the time. That is, after all, what the bonfire is for.
It's interesting that she mentions the keepers of these flames shall never meet. And again, I'm going to continue not comparing this game with Dark Souls 2, but looking to Dark Souls 2 to enrich Dark Souls 1 and vice versa. And just looking at some of the connections between the two games. And one of the interesting things that she said, is that the keepers of these fires shall never meet. Never shall they meet. And recall that in Dark Souls 2, right next to the things betwixt bonfire, there are, I believe, 3 Firekeepers, all just chilling there together. So, yeah, interesting. And she mentioned that, you know, she's a guide, she's a gatekeeper, she's a Firekeeper. But she doesn't mention that she's a rather prominent member of the Blades of the Dark Moon. And we'll be talking about that covenant a little bit later on. But for now, we have a crystal halberd to get our hands on. We should actually only aggro one of them. And if you do want to just take these guys on, there's going to be a fair bit of cheese in Anor Londo. So, as I've said in past episodes, if you're lactose intolerant, you might want to look away. I was hoping that would aggro him so that he would come a little bit closer. We could finish him off that way. There we go. Hi, friend. So again, they vanish into nothingness. Just as the Black Knights do, and the Silver Knights too. What we should be making of that, I'm not entirely sure, but just something interesting to note. Ouch, you got an arrow in your eye. If indeed you have one under there. Mistimed that dodge horribly. And I keep hitting his shield. There we go. Okay, so I believe the one on the right is the mimic. It is indeed, and of course there's a blood stain right there as well. So let's see with the binoculars whether this one has a lock on it. No, they both have latches, so I think maybe I'm thinking of Dark Souls 2. That the Dark Souls 2 mimics have locks on them while the normal chests do not. However, you can see, unlike the other chest, which has the chain curling towards the rear of the chest, this chain just kind of goes straight towards the front, and as we saw, there it is breathing in, and there are the teeth, and out. We should probably equip a couple things here. Green Blossom, and since we have so many of these, where are they? The Charcoal Pine Resin, might as well use those as well. Crystal halberd. So we're going from, what's our damage currently? 265 to 383. Adding a fair bit of weight in the process. How much should we add? 3 pounds? Or 3 units, I guess? Yeah, 3 units. If we take that off, nope. If we take... Nope. So we're going to lose a little bit of poise, but that's okay. There we go. That's why I always keep the Wanderer set on me, because it looks... The various pieces of the set look unassuming enough, where they can usually fit into other armor sets and still look pretty good, and they're incredibly light as well. So we do have a fair number of chunks, and we have 5 chunks. So let's see if we can upgrade it to... And then we are going to, the next crystal weapon we're going to make is the Demon's Great Axe, so we should upgrade that actually. But we still need to up our strength to be able to use that. Or do I want to save the chunks until... Decisions. Nah, we'll leave it. We'll leave it. We're overpowered enough as it is. Don't even need to upgrade it, really. Although we do need to have the... So we're going to go in pretty light armor at this point. Because we are going to need to have our bow equipped. Okay. And then our pyromancy flame. Beautiful. So let's check out the moveset. Backstep R1. Two-handed R2. It's a spin to win. I am hearing an odd beeping sound, presumably coming from one of the neighboring apartments. I apologize if you can hear that in the commentary. But yeah. And that's just thrusting attack, another thrusting attack. Okay, cool. I can't say as though I've ever used this for any prolonged period of time, so I'm interested to see how this works out for us. Not bad at all. I shrugged. You can't see it because of the drops there, but not bad at all. Oh, and a summon sign. Beast Axe. Beast AR-15. I never know how to do the... And that's why I can't say I've ever chosen a gamer tag that requires me to have a whole bunch of different, letters and stuff on there. Oh, and it looks like they've already been summoned. I want to see what gear they were using. Oh well. We do have some Demon Titanite down here, and once again, though, I don't tend to use... Actually, we can save £1 that way. I was just looking at the shield on my back and realizing that I'm not going to be blocking all that much. I'm going to be two-handing with this weapon, so there we go. Let's see if we can wear the... Can we wear the leggings instead? Oh, we can. Very nice. Okay. Don't exactly need the Demon Titanite yet, but it will be nice to have if and when we ever decide to start making boss weapons. And so this part coming up, once again, a good place to ensure that you have camera auto adjust off. It's crucial that you have, because like the amount of times I've fallen here, just absurd. How many times I've fallen in that just because of those archways. And the number of times I've fallen in this segment, just in general. Not because of the camera or just everything together. It's really difficult to actually pinpoint one reason why I've fallen so many times in this spot. But yep. So to that end, as you probably guessed, we have a plan that involves poison arrows. Okay, so as I mentioned previously, even if you're not actually doing damage on these enemies, as long as you can see kind of the particle effect when it hits them. That one was too high. And you do have to angle it depending on the bow and the arrows you're using, I believe. Generally, it's up and to the left. Okay, so you see, we can see that it hit him. Even though it's not doing any damage, but boom. 3 hits, enough to take these guys out. The Silver Knights, you actually only need to hit them twice. And there is another guy who I believe is on the ladder up there. And I thought, for some reason, maybe I'm remembering that incorrectly, that you could knock down the chandelier with a bow and arrow, but maybe not. Or maybe I'm just not close enough. But yeah, this place just... never been a big fan of this segment in particular. I love Anor Londo, and that was the most frustrating thing when I was making my way through here the first time was, you know, I could see that this was clearly an awesome place. Forgot about the Ring of Fog, that's important here, if you're trying to just deal with them with bows and arrows. But yeah, and so, you know, I would have all these souls, and I would get to this segment, I would fall off. And I wanted to give up, but each time I just thought to myself, what is on the other side of this segment? I really want to explore the rest of this area, and yeah, so it took me quite a while to actually figure out a way of getting through here without, you know, constantly falling to my death. And so this is another place, and these guys will heal. So these guys are undead. That's something that is important to take. Whenever you see an enemy using Estus, that implies rather strongly that they are undead. So that these painted guardians were once human. Or painting guardians, I guess. The item on the bottom of that is Great Magic Weapon. Don't know if we're going to use it, but we are going to be leveling up our intelligence to ensure that we can complete Master Logan's quest line. So we have some textures clipping in the distance there. That's kind of a shame. But yeah, there you go. If you're ever having trouble dealing with the painting guardians, very simple solution to that, and it involves 2 words: poison arrows. There's Guinevere, the Princess of Sunlight, flanked by 2 Silver Knights. I believe that chest contains a Divine Blessing, and that there's another chest here which contains a Divine Blessing. And no, we're not going to do it, just because that's not something I ever do. And I have done it, and there's just a couple of but just the chance of falling down, to me, not worth it, at least not until you pull the lever over there. So once again, more cheese, and once we get closer to the keep itself, you will see that I'm going to balance out the cheese with some challenge as well, but I did want to, as with the rest of the playthrough, just because, you know, I've had a few comments from people who have said that they're enjoying watching the playthrough because they've gotten through, or, you know, they got to a certain point in the game and they didn't necessarily finish it, but that they still enjoy the game nonetheless. And while I'm not doing any of this or saying this to pressure those individuals, but I do want to provide some tools for these people, so just in case one day they find themselves thinking, yeah, I really want to finish the game, then they can do that with, or hopefully they'll be able to do that with some of the tricks that I'm showing off here. And another one is simply that if you wanted to get this gargoyle's health down before you actually go down there to fight them, I believe if you're not wearing the fog ring, they will... There we go. And yeah, you can see the poison mist that surrounds them after they've been poisoned, which making it fairly obvious beyond the fact that their health is ticking. So that you know when they're poisoned. But yeah, you can do that, and I believe you can just kill them from up here, with the caveat of if you're not wearing the fog ring, it will start running back and forth and freaking out trying to figure out how to get to you. And so that can be problematic if you're trying to still hit them with arrows, but if you're using the fog ring like I am now, you don't have to worry about it. But we are going to switch back for now to... What were we using before? Wolf ring, right? No? Oh, I took off Havel's ring by accident. There we go. So yeah, this thing's pretty powerful. I am quite impressed. And obviously put there... Actually, yeah, let's read the description and see if there's any other reason potentially it might have been put there. Long-hilted weapon mixing spear and axe is difficult to handle, requiring both strength and dexterity. The halberd has 2 elementary attacks, spear-like thrusting and large sweeping swings. However, one false swing and the wielder is left wide open. So referring, of course, to the really long animation on the spin to win. And so here, once again, you can engage in a fair bit of cheese. Even with the fog ring off. Is he seriously not aggroing onto me? I'm standing right here. I'm not wearing the fog ring anymore. Alrighty then. This guy's a little bit more difficult to poison because of the angle he's standing. He's got a shield out facing you. So you gotta hit him in the arm, but apparently he's pretty docile as well. Alright. Sorry, fellas. Whew. That was close. I meant to do a jumping attack there, not a spin to win. Thankfully he wasn't paying attention. Starting off rather sloppy here. But yeah, if they both hadn't been poisoned, we would have been dead there, basically. So there are... Okay. I guess there's only one left. So we poisoned the first 2. Although, if you do come all the way up here, as long as you don't hit them in the head, if you shoot them with an arrow, they're essentially dead instantly. They fall right off. Okay, really intense part coming up. Very nice. It does look like we might potentially be in the process of being invaded as well. Interesting. Okay. This message right here. That is actually an excellent message, however vague it may be. Because once you're standing here, it's just enough distance for the great arrows to not hit you. And once again, if you angle your bow just right, one and two. So for they have a rather low poison resistance, I guess, so it's only 2 hits to take them out. So I did just want to show that off for anyone who's ever struggled on this part, just to show that yeah, you can just poison them and then just wait back and wait for them to die. We're not going to do that, so let's see if we can't get to the bonfire without dying. That part still gets my heart beating every time. Not bad at all. It's the soul of a hero. And we are going to end the episode as soon as we sit down at this bonfire coming up. Provided that we don't get invaded and killed before that happens, because that is a very real possibility. And it looks like we're currently in the process of being invaded. So let's... yeah. So let's try a little trick. Alright, well, that's a rather successful episode, I think. I hope that you agree as well. But thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, I hate that you can't gesture while standing on top of actionable things. Bye-bye!